Welcome to the Saul's Newsstand News Review for November 15th, 2019. Fox Business reports, Medicare for All is unpopular with voters in these key states. Almost two-thirds of voters in key swing states think Medicare for All is a bad idea. A majority of voters in states that could determine the outcome of the 2020 presidential election believe Medicare for All is a bad idea, according to a new survey. In key swing states, which include Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Minnesota, among others, 62% of voters said a national health plan in which all Americans receive their health coverage through a single-payer system was not a good idea, according to a poll conducted by the Kaiser Family Foundation and Cook Political Report. The poll comes amid a fracture between the candidates seeking the Democrat presidential nomination. Progressive Senators Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have endorsed Medicare for All, proposing sweeping, multi-trillion-dollar plans, while more moderate candidates, including former Vice President Joe Biden, favor expanding coverage under the Obama-era Affordable Care Act. Sanders and Warren have both weathered criticism from Democrats and Republicans about how they'll pay for the expansive and expensive plans. Over the summer, Sanders acknowledged that he would raise taxes on the middle class in order to pay for his single-payer system, but insisted that most Americans would see their overall costs fall because they would no longer be on the hook for deductibles, co-pays, or premiums. A family currently paying $20,000 for private insurance would see that obligation eliminated, he said, though taxes could increase by $10,000. An op-ed from the Washington Examiner states, "A dose of reality on Medicare for All's cost." Presidential hopeful Elizabeth Warren just released her plan to pay for Medicare for All, and it's ludicrous from the jump. For starters, its price tag is, quote, only $20.5 trillion in new federal spending over 10 years. That's $10 trillion less than both the Libertarian Mercatus Center and the left-leaning Urban Institute estimate for Medicare for All's costs to be. Warren has even failed to convince the usually sympathetic comedians on Saturday Night Live who spun her pledge not to, quote, raise taxes on the middle class by 1 penny as a promise to raise middle-class taxes by several trillion pennies. The Nonpartisan Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget recently released a report outlining how our country could come up with those several trillion pennies. The options are alarming and have no chance of garnering the support of the public. For example, the federal government could gin up $30 trillion over a decade by reducing all non-health spending by 80%. That's absurd. An 80% cut to the military, for example, would require reducing the number of soldiers and officers from 1.3 million to just 270,000. The average new Social Security benefit would drop from $18,000 annually to just $3,600 a year. Doubling Americans' tax burden or borrowing 2 times the total capacity of the U.S. economy are recipes for economic catastrophe. That's exactly what supporters of Medicare for All appear to be calling for. And finally, Fox News reports, Trump crows after hearing, says diplomat stumped by impeachable offense question. President Trump highlighted a key moment during Wednesday's impeachment hearing to suggest the case against him was decidedly undercut by the witnesses, despite claims to the contrary by House Intelligence Committee Chairman Representative Adam Schiff and fellow Democrats. After reviewing the circumstances of Trump's July 25th phone call with the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Representative John Ratcliffe asked the witness to state what impeachable offense Trump committed with the call. He did not get an answer. President Trump quickly took to Twitter and said, Representative Ratcliffe asked the 2 star witnesses, where is the impeachable event in that call? Both stared straight ahead with a blank look on their face, remained silent, and were unable to answer the question. That would be the end of a case run by normal people, but not Shifty. Ratcliffe had asked top U.S. diplomat in Ukraine, Bill Taylor, about whether Zelensky was aware of any hold on military aid when the July 25th call discussing those probes took place, and Taylor confirmed that he was not. Ratcliffe asserted that this was proof that Trump could not have used the call to pressure Zelensky into investigating the Bidens. Ratcliffe also noted that Trump eventually released the aid without any investigation taking place. And that concludes your Saul's Newsstand News Review for November 15th, 2019. For more political news faster, visit saulsnews.com.